Adventures, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
I forgot to hit a button. That was my fault. So, hey everybody, and welcome to the show again. Yeah, for those listening on the YouTube, now you'll get the whole show, because I totally missed that part of hitting the YouTube button for the rest of it. That's the problem with doing the remote rig. Everything on one screen, when I'm used to having it on multiple screens, it means everything's in front of each other. And I have to constantly tab back and forth or hit buttons to get through it so I can see all the things I hit. So, hey everybody out there in the video land. Thank you, Sarathis, for letting us know. Yes, that was my bad. Anyhow, let's try this again. And so, yeah. So, now we're broadcasting on everything. And welcome everyone to the show. We can officially now start things with, hopefully if I hit all the buttons right, a little bit of
Dysfunctional Deviations.
Haha! Ken, how you doing? What you been up to?
Hello, sir. I'm okay as I try to load back up into the stuff and the things. Yeah, I'm okay. I've had a rather hectic week. Lots of stuff going on.
Oh.
But first, before I dive into that, I'd like to give a shout out to the art contest. Go and take part. Go to the forums by going to vtproductions.com. Click forums at the top. Log in or make an account if you haven't already done so. And go down to the Show X board. Inside there, you'll see the Show X 20th art contest. We've got 123 views on that thread, so people are interested, but we've had nobody submit anything yet. So the deadline is August 6th, so there's a bit of time to go. But don't become complacent, because then it'll be last minute, as it always is. But the themes are Sunset, Farm. Those are separate, by the way. Sunset, comma, farm, comma, breakfast, code, Ramadan, and the quote, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light," by Dylan Thomas, 1914 to 1953. So we've got a good little while to take part, a nice wide range of themes there, and as usual, you can take part in any medium that you so choose. From erotic dance therapy to spoken poetry to I don't know, arranging the agricultural mess of your fields into an artistic means. It's up to you. Any form is welcome, so long as it's not overly graphically violent or nude or full of racism, etc. That's pretty much obvious rules. Pretty much obvious rules. So long as it's not going to offend everybody in the world, it's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, it's not like we claim to be necessarily family friendly, but at the same time, we're not actively out there trying to offend everyone in the world.
Yeah, whatever. All good. I'd like to shout out to all of our friends in the IRC as well. Now that I'm actually there this week, I just decided I gave up on trying to install my own IRC client onto this Linux box, and I'm now using the Kiwi IRC. So I'd like to give a shout out to all the people in the IRC. That is myself, QBot. Thank you for joining, QBot. You're our most loyal IRC fan, even more so than the VTW Radio Bot, because every single QuakeNet IRC channel has the QBot there. Shout out to VGW Radio Bot 7. I don't know why he's got a 7 at the end of his name, but I'm glad you're here. To Dog Dead, because he's here for the majority of the shows. that's always appreciated. Our good friend Hando, who has been I've enjoyed him speaking to me occasionally on Twitter, due to the fact that I have been not gaming much, so I appreciate the contact. Thank you, sir. Hydroxycut, which I'm not sure if that's Hydroxycut or HydroXY cut, but I'm going to say Hydroxycut. Kuro _ because he's a fantastic gent, and Serathis, a long-time listener too. So thank you to everybody joining in the IRC, much appreciated. Right, so my week, what have I been up to? On the Monday just passed, I was asked to do a presentation for a business engagement event at my place of work at the university, and as a PhD student who's in collaboration with the business, they sponsor me to do some research for them. In return, they pay for part of my PhD, and I get funded for travel and stuff. And more importantly, I get their data so that I can work upon it and have a real problem to work with rather than just sort of making up problems. So that's really good. And I had to talk for about 8 minutes or so about why that's a good thing and how I've benefited, how the university has benefited, and how this company has benefited to an audience of approximately 100, 120 or something. It was actually I was a little nervous for it, not necessarily beforehand, but when I got there and I saw the numbers in the audience, I thought it was going to be a small thing of like 30, which is what I'm used to talking. Like, I have classes of that size most days, so that doesn't faze me whatsoever talking to a class of 30. And plus, having a class is a little bit easier because you're talking to people who already recognize you as, a person of authority because you're the teacher, right? So you've already got that. That sort of role already established. So they already hushing up and get ready to listen and stuff when you walk in the room, etc. That you got that aura of authority as soon as they recognize you as a teacher. This is a business engagement event, so I was probably one of the younger people in the room. In fact, I definitely was. Most people there are probably in their 30s, 40s, 50s. And there's me, a young 25-year-old student, getting ready to present in front of all of them. And to make it more difficult for myself, I was partly a test to my own abilities because I really didn't know how I would handle it, and I wanted to find out. And I think it's important to test ourselves this way, and it tempers our own abilities to challenge ourselves, right? So that my plan was to go in with no slides. So I did an 8-minute presentation, just like everybody else there. There was like another 5 or 6 of them or something like that, and they all had presentations, right? They all had slides to entertain the audience and to avert their eyes away from themselves. But the way I saw it was, hey, I'm presenting about the idea of my work, not my actual work. My actual work is like lots of equations and code and, lots of graphics that I could show of like flowcharts and things like that. And I can show that quite easily on presentations. But I'm not here to talk about my work. I'm going to talk the idea of my work, the meta idea of my work, how it has benefited me as a person. It's what anybody can understand, and it's abstracted from the research level, right? It's not the science they care about the idea of the science. And so I thought, why would I even need slides anyway? Because I shouldn't be presenting my work. I'm supposed to be talking about how this has benefited people. So I shouldn't need slides. And so I challenged myself that way. And that added to my nerves, because on the day, I noticed that everybody else had slides, and they're all in the same standard format, and they're well rehearsed, and they were very pretty slides as well. And I realized that it's probably going to look bad to me walking up there without any slides. It's going to look like I just didn't prepare. That's what I was thinking, right?
Okay.
But I was supposed to go, let's say I was supposed to go at 4 p.m., and 3:30 rolls around, and my name gets announced. And I was like, oh, crap. I'm up. I wasn't quite ready, but okay.
This is happening?
Yeah, this is happening now. So the whole auditorium goes quiet, the whole lecture theatre goes quiet, and I look around, and there's a bunch of people who are my colleagues and my peers who, like I said, I'm a student, so they're all higher than me anyway. They're all lecturers and researchers and established in the field. So presenting in front of them enough is already kind of makes you shake in your boots a little bit, because they're pretty much me, but better, right? So no matter what, you're going to be screwed up in front of these guys. And then there's all these business folk and these other PhD students, and there's like high ups from the university who want to, the whole reason for this is to try and sell the university businesses, trying to establish more partnerships and such, right? So it's kind of a big deal, these kind of things. Because there's the difference between people, the university getting funding or not. So they have the high ups show because they have a great deal of investment in these kind of events. They want it to go successfully. And so I walk up, and I gotta say it went pretty well actually. I was really afraid that I would kind of lose my pacing, but no, it went fine. I found that I'm quite good at talking crap. It's as if I have experience of being put on the spot and talking by myself for a long period of time. I found it no problem, and yeah, it went quite well. I in fact, there was a video of it which I've not seen yet, but there was a photographer as well. It was being live streamed and stuff, this event. Yeah, the photographer sent over some photos afterwards, and I gotta say, I looked pretty confident. I was walking around and throwing my arms around in gestures, and it was good. I was quite proud of myself, because your mental image of yourself when you're presenting is never anything good, right? You never see yourself as a confident person.
Until you've practiced it a lot. No, that's good to hear.
Exactly.
That's very good to hear.
Yeah, it's quite enjoyable actually. I kind of enjoyed doing that kind of thing because, like I said, it challenged myself and it let me know I can in fact stand for an audience and talk when I need to, and that's good to know. Even if I don't always believe that myself, it's good to know. In the IRC, Kando says, yes, Ken, you have become PowerPoint self-aware. You don't always need slides. 75% of people don't know how to use a PowerPoint the proper way anyway. It's true. To me, a PowerPoint should be for visual representations of what you're talking about that you can't describe in words. Like, if I was trying to explain to you a flowchart, right? I'd be like, imagine a circle that said start, and then a line came from it, and it went to a triangle that said F a Monday, and then there's a yes and no, and it's like it's impossible,
that would be
right?
Horrible. Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's just dumb to explain that way. So instead, you would say, we have an algorithm which, depending on the time of the day and the day of the week, it will give an employee a date to work or something, right? And that's easy to say, and the flowchart will be on the screen to really explain the innards of it. And that's how you would do it. That's the good way to use a PowerPoint. The bad way to use a PowerPoint is to have what you're saying on the slide, and then turning around and looking at the slide, and then nobody can really quite hear you as well, because you're looking behind you and looking at slides. That's how you don't do a presentation.
No, it's not.
And
never talk to the slides.
Yes, exactly. Don't talk to the slides. They don't care. And like Hando says, 75% of people don't know how to use PowerPoint, and that's true. Trust me, I do. My students do like presentations as part of their classwork, and I have to grade them on it. And the majority of them are still learning. And I keep saying to them, slides are there for visuals only. Do not put text on your slides. Like basic text summarizing points, maybe.
You should be able to read through it in a moment and be done with it. You should not want someone to just sit there and read. That'd be that is wrong.
Definitely. So yeah, I had the business engagement and that went quite well, even though I was pretty nervous for it. Other than that, I also went on a first aid course this week.
Oh.
So I did 3 days, full days, 9 to 5 training of first aid by the Red Cross, the British Red Cross, and I am now a certified first aider, which is cool.
Nice.
So I thought it was. I didn't realize it was a certified course. I thought it was just a case of just go along and learn the stuff, and then that's you knowing the stuff now. But apparently, this is something you need to do every 3 years. You need to get like your certification reestablished, etc., for it to be recognizable by workplaces and whatever else. So I'm now one of the official first aiders in my department, which is nice. So if anybody has any minor ailment, be it just like, oh, I've got a headache, or oh, my ankle's kind of sore, all the way up to I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a stroke, I'm supposed to be able to deal with all that stuff now, which is cool. I'm not looking forward to the more. Well, actually, I don't know which one I'm looking forward to more or less. I would love to be able to test my abilities of first aid training without it actually being in a situation
having
where
be
somebody,
life or death. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But at the same time, I don't want to. In that case, I would rather have something like somebody has the cold. I also don't really want to waste my time by saying just blow your nose, go to the shop and buy some paracetamol. So I guess the truth is I never want my first aid skills to be tested. But it's cool to know that I now know how to deal with like people having strokes and overdosing and getting bitten by snakes and all that kind of thing, going into shock, amputations, all that kind of thing.
It's really important because it's usually those first stages of something happening where it could be most avoided or most easily fixed. And so that's why it's nice to have first responders, people who can be there even on site to just kind of stabilize a person before the paramedics, the actual experts, get there.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, exactly. A first aider is not there to heal your wounds. They are there to keep you alive for like a maximum of 10 minutes. That is their only job. Keep you alive until the pros get there. That's all they do. But it's cool to know. Like I learned how to properly bandage and do slings and stuff, and I learned how to do CPR. Those like generic dummies you see in all the videos where the people do CPR on the dummies and stuff, and then they do the mouth to mouth. I know how to do all that now. No problem at all.
Has done that.
It's really easy. Oh, and defibrillators. So I know how to use defibrillators as well. So attach the shocking device and it's easy peasy. And it's really good to know. It's the kind of thing that I think is really important for. I think everybody should have first aid training. I think it should be. In Germany, actually, they have a requirement that if you want to get your driver's license, you must pass a first aid course first. Interesting. Which is great. It means that if anybody's in a car accident, no problem. Everybody there knows first aid. Absolutely every single person there will know it, and that's the way it should be. So that's really exciting. I'm glad to have learned that, and it's really fun to know. The one thing I learned that I didn't know actually at all, which is pretty cool, is that I can now volunteer with many different services that do first aid around the world. Like, so I could sign up to be disaster relief, so that if somewhere like I don't know Rwanda had a massacre or something, I could get flown out to go do those kind of things if I signed up to do the first aid thing. So I could go deal with these kind of, which is cool. That's a cool thing to be a part of, to know that you can go and do that kind of thing. See the world and save lives. Very cool. And also I've been told that if there was, say, an incident, say at my university, so I don't know, say they caught fire, right? Say the university caught fire, and then there's hundreds of people are dealing with shock and smoke-filled lungs and asphyxiation and all that kind of thing. The paramedics would come and do as much as they can, but what they would actually do is effectively enlist the first aiders and say, okay, you're helping us, go do this, go do that, go do that, and you become part of the crew who help out with disasters, even in normal situations, normal life. And that's cool to know. It's nice to know that I can do something that helps in these kind of situations. I think, like I said, I think everybody should be like that. Speaking of driving, when I first started driving last year, I mentioned that every time I had something like some sort of near miss or whatever, I mentioned it because I thought they were unusual. I thought they were rare things. I've come to realize over the past year of driving that near misses are actually very common. I thought it was a case of like, oh wow, I almost got an accident at one time, and if I didn't brake, then I would have been in an accident. But in fact, that's almost a daily occurrence. I've come to realize it's incredibly common. There are just idiots everywhere. People who don't look both ways. People who just don't. Oh my goodness!
The number of people. Yes.
Just
continue, Ken. Terrible. I'm going to grab a drink real quick so my throat doesn't fall out as I'm sitting here.
Please do. That's fine.
Be right back.
So I've never really realized that near misses are incredibly common. People are just really, not people, but there are a lot of people who are really bad drivers. Just yesterday, me and Kitten were driving to a beach somewhere, take the Doges out for a stroll and to enjoy sand for the first time. You can see the GIFs of them enjoying the beach for the first time ever on my Twitter. It was just really cute. But on the way there, just some random, like, middle-aged lady with her husband and kid in the back and a puppy just went in the wrong lane completely and drove, like, inches away from my front bonnet. They just drove right in front of me, trying to go into my lane. And I was like, how do you not see me? I'm a giant, burly man in a tiny little car. I feel like you can see, like, the fur poking out of, like, random windows is what it must look like when I'm driving the little car around. A little 1 liter. But I don't know how she didn't see me. And whenever people do screw up, I let them know. I honk my horn like crazy. Not like an asshole, but I'll do a good boo.
Oh, definitely to let them know that they did something wrong. To say, hey.
Yeah, and like not if it's somebody being an asshole. Like if somebody's just being a douchebag, I'm like, there's no point me letting you know you're a douchebag. You know it. It's when people just screw up, like when they just didn't look and they risked their own lives and mine and my wife's in this case and my dog's. Didn't like that. It's not like we're doing crazy speeds. It was like 35 miles per hour or something. But she just drove right in front of me, and if I did not take action and did not brake myself, she would have been rear-ended by me because she drove in front of my car.
Now,
she was in the wrong lane.
People who cut people off and don't plan ahead to where they're traveling really annoy me. And those are the worst cases, right? It's the people who, I guess I should have been in that lane to get over, and I didn't do it a mile earlier or something like that, and so they try to do it last minute. Come on. Just keep on, and yes, it's going to add some time to it, but turn around and come back. It's not...
Yeah.
Instead of risking everybody's lives, just take a moment and say, well, I missed it, that sucks. Go to the next exit, turn around, and come back. It's much better to add another 10 minutes to your drive than it is to potentially kill people. That should not even be a thought.
That's the highway perspective. This was on a roundabout. I mean, it's literally just a case it would take like 5 seconds for her to go around the damn thing and just go into the right lane. It's just pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
That's ridiculous.
So I'm going to stop bringing up these stories because you know what? They're just so common, and I think there's twice this week I had near misses
but
like
at the same time, it's a good thing to kind of throw out to people in general and be like, be aware, and throw it just to everyone in general, because you're right. You run into kind of dumb people every day, and some worse than others, and some are truly unique in their ability to do things that are just nutty or require no thought, and so don't. No, people, please don't. I kind of wish I had another camera I could have faced out the window because I'm perfectly situated to watch everybody walk away for lunch. And so I see all of these costumes out in front of me here. And it's actually quite nice. Sorry, being distracted by costumes out my window. I did also... Right. I wanted to throw in, because when you were talking earlier, and I'm going to kind of jump around a bit because, one, I don't know if I will have the attention span to do the entire show today. I may cut this one a little short, because I'm missing convention. But besides that, I did want to say, you were talking about being on video for your when you're doing your talk, and how you weren't sure if confidence, this and that, and how it comes out that maybe the podcasting we do helps.
I think it does. Yeah.
I had a similar thing happen to me at the convention yesterday, and so what I was doing, and admittedly, my whole week there's no non-geek, so I'm just going to throw geek in with it because that's been my whole. Everything I've been doing is getting ready for Comic-Con this weekend.
It's probably not going to be a full show anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah. So what mine was I was hanging out, and let's see, yesterday I was dressed. This has been terrible of me. My whole weekend was like, wait, what costumes did I bring? I completely forget. Friday I was George Newman from UHF, so Weird Al's character from the old 80s movie UHF. Yesterday I did... Let's see, it's over there somewhere. Which one did I do? This is horrible. What did I have? It wasn't a wig. I did my hair. Oh, I did Shepherd Book yesterday. So I was doing my big book costume.
Nice.
And then today I'm Matthew Patel from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. But yesterday, as we're doing, right after doing a big Firefly shoot, where we had everybody, a whole bunch of cast there all together, people in costume, it was really a nice shoot. But off to the side, one of my friends, Bay, came up, cosplayer, and asked me to do a video for a group that's doing some kind of coverage of conventions and cosplay life, and their discussion was specifically on minorities in cosplay. And the reason being is that there's a lot of minorities who've told stories about running into a lot of criticism of their costumes because of just the characters they're portraying versus their skin tone, things like that. It's almost the reverse of what we get when traditionally white or Asian cosplayers make themselves up to look more like a black character or someone of another ethnicity, and how people get all mad about that. Well, right, it's this whole thing. For me, as long as you're honest and true to the character, I really don't care. But with it, they were kind of talking back the other direction of what it is to be a minority doing cosplay and what kind of things come back to you of whether you've had any negative experiences. I've been very fortunate, but partially because I do costumes that basically fit my skin type, and a lot of times me as a person look a lot like. I like to get as close to a character as I can, so I often choose characters that I somewhat look like. It's easier that way. But in this case, they asked me to do it. I was like, yeah, we just want to hear any experience you had, this and that. And I warned them. I was like, well, how long do you want? It's like, oh, we're just doing these little things, just whatever you talk about. It's nothing big. I was like, I say this because if you start me talking, I'm pretty sure I could go for like a solid 2 hours if you don't stop me. At least an hour. And they looked at me like, what? And I was like, I kind of do this every week on Sunday for like an hour or two.
For like a decade.
And so they're just kind of like, okay. And so then I just went kind of into it off the cuff. I was like, well, how do you want? Do you want me to introduce myself? Do something like this? So I did, just kind of like real quick. Although because I was at the convention, I pimped my photography page versus the show. So sorry to Show X and to VTW for that one. But in doing so, they're like, yeah, do that intro. And I did it. And then I just kept talking for like, I tried to keep it short. So it might have been, maybe it was only like 5 minutes or so, I think. Maybe. I don't think I went 10. Of just me just talking about cosplay in general, and they were really at the end. It was funny because once I stopped, I kind of came up to a conclusion of it. It was like, so hey, I still say cosplay who you want, enjoy your character, just have fun with it, right? Something like that. And boom, they stopped and they're like, huh? So I think you covered everything. We don't have any questions for you, huh? And they just were like surprised. I was like, see, I kind of warned you. I could do this all day. But it worked out really well, and and it's funny too because then my friend Bay was looking at me like, "I'm supposed to follow that," and I was just like, "Hey, just talk about yourself. You're an expert."
What's worse is they gave you a controversial topic, and that's so easy to talk about because there's so many sides, there's so much to say, so much to be said.
Absolutely, and I did it in very like chill type thing. So it's like, yeah, no, it was fun. I'll have to get back from them where it was at so I can link it to everybody about that little interview. But it was kind of fun. Other than that, let's see.
But it's kind of both a good and kind of sad thing about that is that if I were to do that right now, if I did that sort of talk and I was asked to go talk about something like that about minorities and my opinions on them being able to cosplay or whatever, if I were to say a similar thing to you where it's all about just having fun, etc., my point would probably be invalidated because I am white.
Well, you say that, but there's an equal kind of thing from people who are white cosplaying as characters like Moana and characters, all these classics. Well, so I've had a thing today, and this is me. I won't say it's being hypocritical in the sense it's just surprised me. I've seen, because it's a Comic-Con, a surprising number of cosplayers cosplaying as Black Panther from the last Avengers movie. And I will tell you that every costume I've seen so far looks like it was store-bought, especially the masks. I've seen a couple people do some details that were handmade, but the full costumes, I've yet to see one that was really spot on or really a great one. The other side of it, though, is every single person that's been Black Panther, at least 4 so far I've seen, is white. And the nice thing is they're not trying to do anything different or not be the character to just enjoy it, and that's fine. I'm just kind of surprised that I haven't seen any Black Panthers, because it's such a great opportunity to showcase
yeah.
A character that is black.
It was too easy mode. I don't know.
And maybe that's the case. So it has bumped it up on my list of things I want to do, that for like another Comic-Con I should do Black Panther so that I can say, look, I'm black and I can be in the Panther suit. I'm not as black as the actor or anything or traditional, but hey. And so it's just, and
he's
it's not
double as black.
Well, it's a level of, I feel, and in my interview part I kind of talked about that, because I think black characters are often underrepresented in so many of the things I enjoy. Comics is one thing. Just a second, I have people knocking my door. Ah! Why you do this?
It's okay. I can do the talks. Yeah, it's just my point is just that it's a sad that I don't know.
Never mind.
I think everybody should have equal stance when they say things. There should be equal representation in that case, where people should be able to stand up and say their opinions regardless of their skin color. Is my basic point. And so I think it's just interesting how people of color would be allowed to say their thoughts on it, but if as a white guy, I probably wouldn't.
Well, no, you can.
People would say that's totally fair though, because white people get lots of say in other things that people of color wouldn't otherwise.
Well,
right?
but everybody gets a say. It's a question of what's right or wrong and things like that. So everyone gets a say. And let's see, didn't Doc do Doctor Strange? No, I did not. That would be interesting though. And so yeah, it's things. Sorry, the knocking on my door was apparently the maid in the hallway just moving a cart around and banging against the wall. So I was like, is someone knocking on my door? One of the roommates or something? But sorry about that. No, but
that's quite all right.
I say, and I actually plan on having some other cosplayers on to talk about some of those kind of things. Just like I plan on the shows, we go into some more specific, like topical shows, where it's not just our normal weekly stuff. I'm going to get a bunch of gals on to hopefully talk about, being a gal gamer and stuff like that, because I really want to hear those opinions. In a way, like you're talking about, Ken, if you're not of that group, it's hard to talk about what their experiences are like.
Oh, of course. Just like people would say, like, I can't talk about the way what women experience in the workplace, for example, or whatever else. But basically, I can only talk about what guys experience. What I guess a good one is atheists, because that is actually a minority group I'm part of technically. Although no longer in the UK. Apparently now in Scotland, it's 6 out of 10 people in Scotland don't worship gods as of this week. So that's pretty cool. And that's not 6 out of 10, as in there's only 10 people in Scotland. There are more.
That was just from a recent census, right? Didn't you guys just complete a census?
Well, I don't know if it was actually from the census itself, but there was a study at least that was done in the past week, which was to do with that. However, I would say in the West in general, I am still in a minority with it. And plus, that just because you don't worship a god doesn't mean atheist, right? You can be agnostic and not atheist.
Yes.
You can still say there might be a god or there might be something out there, kind of thing. Or just not worshiping might mean you believe there is a god that you just don't worship, right?
Yep.
So there's all the above. I still would say atheists are very much a minority, and often discriminated against, especially with in the past week in the US. I don't want to talk too much about that, but with Trump's recent bill that he's passed in, which it decreases the amount of separation from church and state. That is not the topic of today's show.
So yeah, the stuff they're trying to push. Oh, it's on states to decide. It's like, yeah, that's your hard right base doing some things. But anyhow, yeah. So what else did you?
I think it's interesting because the way I see it is I would always accept anybody's opinion, and I agree with you, right? You don't need to ever accept that person's opinion. If a female says men have it easy and in the workplace, and they pretty much just money is thrown at them and so are jobs. Like if a woman said that, I'd be like, you're totally entitled to your opinion. I find that interesting. However, and I would say that to anybody. I think that anybody can say whatever they please. With the caveat that people don't have to receive that if they don't want to. Like, if I could say, I hear you, but I disagree with you. Or I hear you, but I don't think you have any reason to say that. Right? But the point is, you should never... I don't think anybody should ever say out loud, you're not allowed to say these things. You should always be allowed to say the things. But whether you're credited or not is different. But you should always be allowed to speak.
And by all means, have opinions. Just please make sure they're informed. And actually, looking at our see, I wanted to mention to Kuro... And it's funny because Qatar, you're saying, it's interesting the past couple of years getting more into cosplay and the drama crop up in the cosplay community. I was commenting because I've talked some drama from this con this weekend, although it's more the con's fault than people. Around cosplay, I've found more drama than any other group I've ever been a part of. And I think a lot of it's because it's a lot of people who kind of the drama kids from school kind of deal. Or just it's nerd groups and such that have never had that outlet, and so that now they do, they just are all like hyper, either sensitive or stuff about the things they do. And so, no, seriously, just hanging around cons, I've run into more people who have found reasons to hate each other in groups and have their own little cliques, and more people that just run into random kind of occurrences and don't know how to deal with it well. And so I try to minimize my inclusion in any of the drama. I hear it from a lot of people. I don't try to make it worse. I mean, I know there's still drama that swirls around me as well, but I try as my best to just step aside from it. And then Kuro followed up saying, yeah, it's nice just being a bystander at cons. And I have to say, Kuro, you were asked about today or yesterday when I was hanging out with my friend Hyde, and we were talking about early days and going through with the Homestuck life and things like that, which is admittedly like the most drama-filled group in existence. And you basically was mentioned as to where have you been? Some people asking like they haven't seen you around con for a while, and so just throwing that out that Kuro, that you have been missed. But yeah, let's see. I don't want to totally cut you off, Ken, because I have things I could keep talking about, but I want you to finish up at least your Dysfunctional, and then feel free to jump in a little bit with what you've been doing geek-wise. Might as well jump into it, since otherwise I may just kill everything before.
Yeah, I can talk about both. I can finish. Well, it kind of links in, actually. It's very appropriate that way. So in terms of geekness, I still can't play games, and that's going to be the case for probably maybe a couple of years.
No.
It's pretty much going to be the way it is, I'm afraid. So not by choice, but just the way it's going to have to be. So I've had to learn how to spend free time doing other things.
Okay.
So I've been purchasing more books. I've been spending more time with my dogs, for example. A few other things like that, and it's just kind of it's just weird to try and I've got a whole bunch of hobbies. I love to ski. I like photography. I like playing guitar and all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, most of these things are kind of either they require a lot of effort to go do, or you can't do them every day, or like the good thing about playing games is that you can just sit down. You can sit down at your computer and play games, and you can play, but you have a variety. You can play games that are more relaxing. You can play games that are more like competitive. There's a huge strategy. You can work your brain a little bit more. Like, there's a huge variety of what you can do. And that's a struggle to find anywhere else in any other medium. I mean, right now I'm reading the Witcher books. I've been reading through those very slowly, albeit. And I'm enjoying them, but I gotta say, the vocabulary in it is kind of above my level. Like, I struggle with a lot of the words. I'd say on every single page, there's probably 1 or 2 words I don't know, and I end up like picking up my phone and Googling constantly. And I'm just like,
interesting.
I can vaguely work out the word from context, but I'd really rather understand it fully. And it's often things like weird words for a tunic, or I don't know, tools that a stonemason would use, and it's like, these kind of things, that words that I probably will never see again, or I will rarely ever see again. But at the same time, I don't want to read a page and not understand something on it. I don't like that. And so it is kind of work in a way. It's taking effort. And as much as I enjoy reading, and I'm enjoying the Witcher books, and it's very well written, and I trust me, I do like them. It's just, I'm kind of, I suppose I'm just more used to books that are not above my literary level, books that I can actually follow more easily.
You're having to learn stuff.
Well, I do that for my job already. I research and study and study and study and study and study, then research and study and study and study. To be able to research something new, you need to know everything else first in that little subfield. So, I do that anyway. Yeah. So that's a bit of a pain. I need to get used to that. So other than that, my actual geek cred, I've still been watching a bunch of Star Trek.
Nice.
It is easily done because I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I've been watching TNG. I'm now on season 4. I think it's in 2 weeks. I've gone through 4 seasons. It's so good. I can't believe how good the series is. I can't believe that I've not seen it yet. I can't believe how much I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I thought it was just going to be kind of too old for me, and I wouldn't enjoy the characters, and I'd feel too, I don't know, just out of date for me. But it's not the case whatsoever. The characters are so interesting. I love all the episodes where Data like learns more about humanity, or shows a facet of understanding of humanity, or shows that he's getting some kind of feeling there. And I generally don't know what's going to happen. Like I have not read any spoilers or anything. I don't know what happens at the end of TNG. I don't know if Data becomes human or more human-like or whatever else. Or I don't know anything about TNG whatsoever, really. And it's so great. It's like a new series, and nobody's even trying to spoil it for me because it's just too old. They just can't. nobody's talking about it really.
Yeah,
great.
it's not an active conversation. People might talk about like specific episodes that they really loved, but no one's really talking about the overall story arc or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not in the news. People aren't talking about it. People talk about Star Trek all the time, but they more like just reference the noises of the bridge or certain characters or whatever. But I've also now finally listened to finally watched the episode yesterday that Pogo's remix that I mentioned a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
was actually where a lot of it was taken from.
Yep.
Yeah, so those bits of the song that I've learned off by heart. It's funny, as soon as you hear the characters say it, you recognize that straight away. It's so weird. Like as soon as Picard says the Shakespeare quotes, I got them straight away. "'Tis better to have loved than lost than never to have lost at all," that kind of thing. I just got it straight away. Like as soon as he said the first word, I was like, it's that part. It's just so ingrained in my memory. I'm really enjoying it. Star Trek's a really well-written, really enjoyable series. There's a couple of episodes I sort of roll my eyes at, but the one thing I'm really thoroughly enjoying is their ability to how do I describe it? It's the sort of the hierarchical stories, ones where they talk about what's actually going on in the series as opposed to what's like instead of just random standalone episodes where there's like, there's a new alien race who can do thing X or thing Y.
The overall plot stuff, yeah,
it's much more enjoyable. And I really like those episodes. Like, this thing's happening to Starfleet. In fact, it's not a spoiler. I can talk about anything, right? So, for example, there was the episodes where the Starfleet high-ranking members were infected by parasites. They're controlling them. That was a great episode. And the Borg are finally coming into it, and that, like more than just that one episode early on. They actually had a bit of a prominent role. They nearly invaded Earth. That was awesome. That was so cool. I was so into it. I was like, how are they going to get out of it? Come on, Picard! You can do it! Just thoroughly enjoying it.
Nice.
So good.
Well, it's
such
fun
a good
because
series.
those of us geeks who've seen it, it's kind of like that whole like, man, it's so weird to hear someone first going through it. Katara and Iris, he's just saying that he just introduced his fiance to Next Generation.
Nice.
As well as Kuro saying he's torn between that and Deep Space Nine as to which is his favorite. Which I can understand because I like them for different reasons. I love TNG just because you go on and all the adventures is classic, Star Trek, but with a huge ship full of a lot of, scientists and civilian type almost, as well as the regular crew. And then it goes, DS9 where it's all done on a space station where like all of it, everything comes to the station. It's all about the politics in that area and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a difference. It's what I've always talked about. Why sci-fi is so good, is it often is just introducing new concepts and new things over and over again. And the beauty of it is like on a ship. What makes a ship so good, Firefly, any of the Enterprises, even to the point of Star Wars stuff like that, but especially in serial shows, is that you're always able to explore something new. And you don't have to, one of the things that kills most sci-fis is if you stay in one location. Because then once you've explained the technology, it's like, so what's the point? You're just now another drama. And so, but with like a Star Trek and stuff where you're constantly traveling to new parts of the universe and dealing with new races and different kind of conflicts, you're always new and creators can do anything. And so like in Next Generation, they had that in spades, whereas in DS9, it was a little different because they were static on a space station. The way they made that work is they made it such a large station with so much going on in it and as a way station between areas that things were always being brought to DS9. And so that the story was able to keep going and get bigger because events happen at DS9 constantly. And they're always different. And there were things I loved about that as well. And so, I liked both. And it's funny.
You recommend Deep Space Nine is the next one I should watch then, or?
I think it's great. Now, the one that fell off for me was Voyager. I could not stand Voyager. I know a lot of people
I've
who
heard
loved
good things
it.
with Voyager.
Well, and that's the thing. I know a lot of people who loved it. I will be straight up front with it that there were no characters that grabbed my attention in Voyager. Even, what's her name? Even Seven of Nine, the actress who played her, who was all the pretty gal back in the day, everyone was in love with, never caught my eye. There was nothing about the series that drew me. And the couple episodes I tried watching, for me it was Captain Janeway, to me felt out of place, especially at the beginning of the series. I don't know. I've heard she's great as you go further in, but from what I watched, I just couldn't get into her as a captain and the way situations were being dealt with, and no one in the crew. And so that's what killed me. I need someone that I want to come back and watch. You know, Next Generation, like you said, you have Data, you have Worf, you know, you have Picard, you have Riker, you have...
By the way,
so many.
Worf, just one random thing I want to get off my chest here. Worf is continually described as this fierce warrior, and like, in fact, in the episode I just watched like a couple hours ago, he was like, he talked about how there's only 2 people on this entire craft who could break my wrist, and then one of them is Data. And it's like, yeah, but I've never seen you actually win a battle with anybody. Like, yeah, you like arrest people and stuff, but you're like holding a phaser and you're not really ever fighting or anything.
He has a couple episodes where he gets to go full Klingon. And usually they involve a Klingon planet or something like that, where for some reason they have to go deal with the Klingon culture. And
yeah, the one where he got dishonored, he was a little bit of a badass. But like even then, it's just like the majority of the time he is getting his ass kicked.
You're right. Mostly it's usually little sparks of things. But when he finally does get to it, it's pretty cool. And the stuff with like him and was it Lieutenant Yar and stuff and it's funny because it's been forever since I've watched anything Next Generation.
You should, if you want to watch it again. Now's the time, because then we can talk about it. Nerd out about it.
Sarah disagrees with me. Voyager is crap.
Really? Okay.
Well, again, I have heard people who love it. I absolutely have. I just am not one of them.
And by the way, people who say the films suck, the new films, they're what got me into watching this.
Well,
they're the reason I thought,
I liked the new films. The latest one was a little less for me. But the first 2 I actually really liked, and even with especially with Khan, with the second new movie, a lot of people hate it because Khan, but man, I thought it was well done. I really enjoyed it. I like how they twisted it. So, I mean, the idea that they've remade these things for a newer audience, I actually have been really happy about. So,
yes. What do you think about the whole? What do you think about the new series that's coming out?
So I am worried to no end, because I feel like nobody knows how to Star Trek anymore. They don't understand those basic things that I think have been so great. One of the series I was most excited for was Enterprise with Scott Bakula from the old Quantum Leap days. Him being a captain I thought was perfect, and I liked the cast and crew and everything of it. But essentially, episode 1 or 2, they jumped the shark. And what they did is they didn't take advantage of the opportunity they had with the time frame they were in. They put that series between the movie where, you know, humanity first discovers warp through the Vulcans and such and gets picked up by them to now be progressed into this whole society of aliens that know what can be done and travel the stars. And what everybody recognizes is the regular Star Trek stuff, where you have things like teleportation and phasers and all this new technology, right? It was placed right in the core middle of it. And the problem is they didn't take advantage of, let's slowly introduce the technology that already existed in the old movies and shows, but didn't exist at that one time. Let's really make this a series about that progression of humanity as these new things become available. Instead, because Enterprise was in that time frame where we really hadn't run into the Romulans, we really hadn't run into the Klingons, we really hadn't run into all these other races other than the Vulcans. Their writers screwed up essentially and said, but it's not Star Trek unless we have all of those things. And so they kept quickly introducing new technology that they could have slow rolled over years. You know, it would have been monumental to finally introduce full-on phasers. And instead they went from these kind of old school guns that had the first little laser gun type thing, and they jumped to phasers in 2 or 3 episodes. And they just jumped so fast into the technology because it was like they weren't creative enough to find those bridges. They could have almost done Star Trek steampunk in a way. You know, a combination of, we know we're going to lead to this technology, but we're still stuck in the old nuclear age or something, right? Where they just they lost such an opportunity, so it just fell apart. Because then it was just a lesser Star Trek show. It's like we tried to pull everything in, and now we're just doing all the same stories that have already been done, and nobody cares. And so it just... That's
the one issue I've been worried about when rewatching or watching other Star Treks for the first time, is that they're going to follow these same mechanisms again and again, of Oh, but now we're going to go back in time and do that thing again. And the captain's replaced by somebody who looks just like the captain, but is slightly off, even though he's mostly the same. All that kind of thing. It's like, okay, I just saw that on TNG, guys. I don't need to see the exact same episode over here now. That's what I'm afraid of.
Again, all the potential, and unfortunately, they squander it. They don't know what to do. So, anyhow. I am not going to set us up with a break today because I'm going to plow through until I can't sit in my seat anymore. Since I see, again, cosplayers everywhere and I want to go to con. But I did, let's see, because you talked Star Trek. I want to talk a little bit.
That's fine.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more DCC. I do want to apologize, everyone. I've been so far behind getting ready for stuff that I haven't actually got shows posted for the last few weeks. So if you need to, you can watch the YouTube ones because they're already there. But otherwise, we'll try to get stuff. And who knows, maybe I'll start broadcasting more off this rig because it apparently handles Sam just fine, where my big computer can't. So
yeah, the only day is the internet. Like your video has been frozen for approximately the entire show for me.
Really?
But I assume it's just for me.
I would say because on my end it's fine. So and you're coming through to me just fine. So yes, well, and I'm in a hotel, so I'm on hotel Wi-Fi.
I know.
There's that. But I did want to say, so my weekend basically consisted of getting ready for DCC. I spent several late nights helping friends finish up costumes or try to get further along in costumes. I took some gifts because my 3D printer's been working so well. One of my friends, Kara, cosplays as Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy in the full fursuit type thing, and is very specifically from Guardians of the Galaxy. And so I brought her a baby Groot that I 3D printed using a wood filament. It's been a very popular model that people have been wanting me to print for them. Gave it to her, loved it, was a huge thing. As well as I had 3D printed a harp for my friend's Chic cosplay, and another piece of a little thing that came out at the end that was a hair spike kind of thing that hangs off the wig. Other things I did, like I said, I mentioned my own cosplay. On Friday when I was dressed as George Newman, I went and met, or finally stood in line, things I never do, to actually be able to go up front and at least say thank you to Weird Al. And so I got to shake hands with Weird Al Yankovic and get a picture with him as I was dressed as a Weird Al character. So I thought that was fun. I got to follow my friend Hannah go to and get a picture of and signature with Felicia Day. And so it was up close and personal with Felicia right after she's just had her kids or such and came to convention. So she's running around. As well as I had tried to but did not make it to see Nathan Fillion because of con issues. And I could have gone today, but in general, I just wasn't feeling it. But that's all right. So I have had the opportunity, thankfully, to go around and see a lot of friends. Hydroxy Cuts, who's in here. On Friday, we went to Club Cosplay, which is an event hosted by a group that's around here that focuses on cosplayers, getting them out and getting them dancing and having fun and interacting together. And so in doing that, we went out to the club, and we all got a little bit drink on and dancing around, having fun. I punched myself in the face with my poi that I picked up. My spinning, glowing rubber balls that you have for dance and such. I picked some up to hopefully honor in a year's time my friend DJ Bullock, who passed, because he used to love to spin poi, and so I'm trying to learn on his behalf to continue his trend at the conventions. But in doing so, I smacked myself up in the face. It's a goal I hope to accomplish. There's our kitten features in the background with some doges.
There's the kitten features, yes.
Hello, the kitten features.
They see you, dear. You've been spotted.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Also, but yeah, as Hydroxy's saying, Club Cosplay got turned. There was much alcohol consumed, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of great costumes there, a lot of great dancing, so that was a good time. Other than that, hanging out with friends in my room here, as well as some friends I haven't had around for a while, as well as friends I'm seeing at the convention. Although, and I'll try not to spend too much time on this because there's still controversy in the air. Denver Comic-Con had a lot of changes go on this year compared to previous. One, and I think we might have talked about for a minute, Ken, when I was at my last convention, about how in Phoenix there was the attempted attack there where somebody came into the convention with guns, specifically targeting somebody, but was taken down by local authorities and nothing happened. But in response to that, a lot of cons have been adjusting their policies on various things like props and weapons and other things.
Sure.
And so here what they did is there's a few things that have happened. Supposedly there's some other event that rented out part of the convention center up front where we traditionally see with the glass entrances into our convention center, Big Blue Bear that sits outside that everyone's used to going, that's closest to where all the hotels are. Well, since that wasn't available to us, they made the entrance on the other side of the convention center, which wouldn't be so bad, except it's a massive convention center. And so it's a good almost like half-mile walk around the convention center to get there. So that's a bit of an annoyance. And the challenge is, more so, there's been a lot of confusion with rules around the convention. The convention posted a bunch of cosplay rules and prop check things and stuff like that months and months in advance. However, it seems as though some of those rules changed in just the last couple days. And they didn't do a very good job.
I don't like when they change rules so last minute like that.
And specifically, yesterday morning, the con opened doors at like 10 in the morning or so. But at essentially, what was it, 7 in the morning, they sent an email, or not an email, they put a post on their Facebook page. It's the only place I know it existed, that said due to complaints about the way they were inconsistently handling things on Friday, they were changing the rules on Saturday. So Saturday morning they posted, on Saturday morning, there would be no more gun-type props of any kind allowed into the convention.
Oh, that's hella last minute. Think of all the poor people who had weapons with them, etc.
So part of the challenge, and I spent an hour more this morning after being out, where I was just reading comments that people had about it, and it was a flood. And
yeah,
I mean, it was bad.
I'd be so pissed if I imagine you spent months preparing your cosplay.
That's what people were talking about.
The morning of the con. That's pathetic.
Well, it was even worse than that, because there were people that were here Friday with the convention that had their prop allowed in, toy gun or such, coming back Saturday, even though they've been peace bonded, them saying, sorry, that's not allowed. And multiple reasons it's a challenge. One of the big ones is because the staff doing it, they hired out to a company, and this company has arguably been not great for their security and the way they've been trying to host things, plus most of the people are volunteers. And so there have been at least a few examples I've witnessed myself and had to deal with a friend of mine, where the people were, I would best say, just like prop Nazis that were coming out and were getting in people's faces and getting argumentative and just really mean about saying, I need to check that and what's wrong with it, And part of the problem was it would have been more acceptable, except there was no signage anywhere around the convention center mentioning what the rules were. And so it's one thing that, yes, we posted it online months ago, but a lot of these people don't follow them online. So a lot of people just come to the convention center because they're just comic book nerds that don't go on Facebook. They come, they buy a ticket, they try to come to the convention. A lot of the people, especially around Denver, have come in via light rail, public transportation. They didn't drive. And because one of the most common responses from people throwing people out of the lines was saying, oh, you need to either throw your weapon away, or whatever your prop is, just drop it, throw it away kind of thing, or take it back to your car. And people are like, I didn't drive here. I took the light rail 45 minutes in.
Oh,
WTF.
what a shame. They have to go home?
Well, no. So a lot of people just threw away their props.
Oh.
Or they tried to find friends. And there were people who, just like you said, talked online saying, I checked the rules, all of them. There goes my friend Vady and Dawn. I see them below me. Oh, well. And they did everything right. And they said, I spent $100 and 6 months making this, according to the rules you posted 6 months ago. I didn't, and then I come in first thing in the morning on Saturday when I think I'm good, and you call me out and try to make this a big hassle. And so it's just this huge issue. And as well as there was problems with things and consistency about coverage, because the rule of the con was at minimum bikini coverage. And beyond that, it was but a lot of people are like, okay, that's fine. And then you see people in here with less than. And again, it's kind of wait a second, so what's the rule? And it was just, it's been an unfortunate thing. And a lot of the con volunteers and supporters have said, well, this is a challenge because we have so many volunteers, and it's really hard to keep everyone trained. Which is a challenge because this is a large convention that's been going on for 5 years now plus, that you knew were going to have 100,000+ people attend. It should have been a priority to make sure the staff was trained properly. And
Yeah, it's absolutely not anybody else's fault that you can't control your volunteers and staff. That is your fault, 100%. Denver Comic Con.
yes, it's one of those things that I mean, I've been fortunate. I was aware enough that I've survived it and mostly had fun. The challenge, though, is I've witnessed the scene where it's so inconsistent that it's even frustrating to see or hear about. And I have friends who have absolutely suffered it. And also, because the convention's so big, but it wasn't laid out right, it's a mess, that I had struggled yesterday with the idea of, will I go back?
Oh yeah, that's the only way you can tell them this is bad,
right?
Don't vote with your money.
Well,
Just
and that's
hold
the
it
problem.
back.
Is like
Don't give them your money.
I could be in LA this weekend at Anime Expo, which I keep hearing is phenomenal. I keep hearing it's so good, and it's like, I do want to show something on the video. Well, so I'll say that first. Yeah, in a second I'll talk about that one real quick because one of our friends of the show posted in a picture that she took yesterday, Hydrodoxy's wife. One of the responses, and you won't be able to see this right away, Ken, but one of the responses
I can't see the video whatsoever, dude. I can't see it at all.
What's been happening is that it's a picture that was supposed to say they took her guns. And it's a South Park reference. And so it's someone holding a sign that basically says that. It says, they took her guns! Which I find quite entertaining. So thank you for that. Yeah, no, it's been, like I said, it's a frustration. For me, it's mostly due to essentially inconsistency is the best word. But the problem was they said, our response to the inconsistency is we're going to make more rules that are also going to be inconsistently followed. So we're just going to say no guns, period. So we'll see. I'm struggling. Hopefully after the whole con I'll decide if I really enjoyed it or not. Part of my problem has also been that because it's such a mess organization-wise, I haven't been able to find almost anybody I normally run into. I talk about my friends Jesse and Laura. Jesse's a massive 6'8" titan of a man who always dresses in amazing costumes. I haven't seen him once this con. I know he's here. I've seen pictures posted. How do I miss that? And such. And so I've run into a couple of people because they're either doing photos in specific locations, but that's about it, or just a handful of people I've run into in the front. And admittedly, this is a big enough convention. It's mostly people from out of state and other places around that I may never have known. But I just have struggled with whether I would enjoy this convention again. Plus, I love comics, and I've seen some amazing stuff, but anime's my jam, and Anime Expo is supposed to be massive, and it's the same weekend. And so it's one of those I kind of want to see what that's about. I don't know. We'll see how I feel after everything, and I will admittedly say, and I know people who are working for this convention, and they're doing their best, and a lot of them are doing a great job, but as a whole, I feel like the convention just hasn't communicated well to everyone. Because I'm sorry, a Facebook post is not enough. Not enough people are checking Facebook day to day to see what Denver Comic Con is telling people. You should have, and you could have sent people out middle of the day, Friday or late last night, or Saturday or something, to go to a sign shop and make them, or just, dang it, get a big poster board and write on it the actual, prop rules and put it at the head of the line. So that when you're first about to get in line, you see this thing that says oh, well shoot, if I can't do that, maybe I should turn around now instead of having someone yell at me after I've been waiting in line for an hour. It's just, yesterday was rough.
Yeah.
It was a mess. And so
I can only say that people should really just vote with their money, and if you don't like it, say it online. Tell people, advertise the fact that you don't like what's happened. Let them get the bad publicity that they deserve for this, if that's your opinion.
Well, and I'm not trying to shut them down, but and there was a discussion that someone said that's like, yeah, but if you try to lawsuit and this and that, you're going to shut down a convention that makes all this money for charity. And it's like, yeah, but it also feels like you guys are doing a lot to make money for yourselves, because it just doesn't feel honest, and it doesn't feel right. So I don't know. So we'll see.
And regardless of whether it's made for charity or not, if you're screwing people over, the charitable thing doesn't really matter as much, does it? I mean, if you're wasting loads of people's times and they're not enjoying it, they're still not going to come regardless of where the money goes.
And people said that, I've seen so many stories that people are talking about their own anecdote of what happened to them. Oh, this is all about the kids and this, that. So a lady went to a corner away from people and started breastfeeding. And one of the volunteers or staff, one of them came over and started just berating her, saying you can't be doing that over here. Well, it's good to know it's about the kids. It's like, It just
I'm sorry, what is wrong with breastfeeding in public? When has that ever been an issue? Like,
it's
that
because
is just
people are idiots, and that's why. It's not because there's anything. Yeah, no, it is because people are idiots. I just so I enjoy my friends. I enjoy the geekdom, and I've seen some great stuff. But it is sometimes a challenge to enjoy the entire event and what's going on with it. And so I don't know. I'm hoping to have more good experience and hear more good things from people. There has been some struggle. All right. I'm getting close to my threshold here, and it's also because it's time for people to get foods and stuff like that. But
there are two things I'd like to bring up before we go any further.
I'm not done. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Then that's fine. I've got two more
I
things.
was going to say one last thing about the convention, and I was going to be done with the convention thing, is that I also got the opportunity, and big fan, thanks to the local, my cosplay group that I've been running around recently, we went to the Zelda Symphony last night. So, like, right after convention stuff was ending, celebrated, so happy birthday to La Campette. Yesterday was her sweet 16. She turned 16 yesterday. We went and ate sushi downtown for that, and then from there I went over to the Symphony, and we watched the Zelda Symphony here in town, which was amazing. It was great because my friend Hyde was dressed as Sheik and had never been, and is a huge Zelda fan, so she was just, like, freaking out over the whole thing, as well as Zenko from Zenko Akko Cosplay. Zenko, Undine was doing as well, but they're like the cutest things to see together. They both had these huge grins and were just like giddy little, like, moving in their seats constantly because of the music from the symphony and all the Zelda stuff. That was really fun. A thing to add to the overall geek from the week. So that was a high note. Anyhow, all right, nice. Ken, please give us, what do you got? And then acquiesce, we are going to read your email.
Yes, that's the other thing with the email. That was one of the things. We'll get into that secondly, because that's more interesting than the first one. The first one is something I've signed up for. So you know these different subscription services you can sign up for, like what's it called? Eat Fresh. Eat Fresh is it called?
I say for me it's Loot Crate, but yes.
HelloFresh. I think more the food side of things. You get HelloFresh. You can get Gray's Box.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of these subscription services where you give X amount of money and some kind of food will arrive at your doorstep.
Yeah.
I signed up to one this week that actually a member of my department who recently successfully passed his Viva and received his PhD in mathematics, he actually produced the algorithm for how this company works and how they decide which types of food go to which people and the likes. So the idea is it's called Fishbox. It's a UK-based thing, and I believe it's a UK only at the moment. You choose your size of your fish box from small, medium to large. Your frequency, so it can be like every 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, several times a week, or whatever. And then you go into your account and you choose your preferences. So what kind of fish you like, and you can go through different. There's like 8 different. No, I think there's more than that. There's like 10 different types. From oil-rich fish, flatfish and rays, shellfish, whitefish, cephalopods, smoked fish, soup and pie mixes, exotics, and live products, which includes things like oysters, winkles, whelks, mussels, live lobsters, live crabs, all the way to the more normal things like different cuts of salmon and different cuts of mackerel, whatever else. And the great thing with this is, for X amount of money per week, depending on the size, we're paying £35 for a week's worth of food every month at the moment, just so we can try it out. And they're going to send 6 days of lunches and dinners for £35, all different types of fish, and a variety of the ones that we've chosen we've liked or loved, and not the ones we've disliked, through their preference system. And so we'll get a variety of different fishes in a box that is fresh, like 2 days before it's been caught, and it arrives on our doorstep when we get home on, I think it's Monday night or something. With this huge variety of fish. Now the thing is, Kitten is a pescatarian, so she only eats fish and vegetables, no meat. And I've been trying to watch my diet, and I've been eating lots of fish for the past few months, and I've lost 1.5 stone, so 9 kilograms so far. And this actually helps a long way towards that. Now, £35 a week might sound kind of expensive. That's approximately $40, $45 with the current exchange rate. But if you think about how much it costs for the main meat that you spend, money you spend on meat per week for 2 people for all the lunches and dinners, that's not so bad, actually. Okay. So we're looking forward to trying that out. It's going to arrive next week, and I look forward to updating you on how it goes. I like the fact that my department is partly the reason that this system works and how they're handling all their customers. And I look forward to seeing what kind of food they send to us and whether we manage to store it and cook it and etc. successfully. Because the good thing is the kind we've hit like on a lot of types of fish that we've never even heard of before. And we look forward to seeing how, like, eels, different types of eels and golden trout and different flatfish and rays and stuff like that. So I look forward to trying all that out, like black halibut. I've never tried that, or brill or dab before, but I've hit like just so that at some point we can try cooking it and see what happens, you know?
Okay.
We can try new food out, it'll be healthy, and hopefully it's going to be cheaper as well. So I'll update you with that. But I think it's a really cool idea, and I love this kind of thing. So I'll be sure to say how it goes. And everybody else in the UK, I can actually offer a gift certificate, which gets you, I think, some free stuff or money off your first box or whatever. If there's anybody out there who is UK-based other than me. Okay, so the one other thing I wanted to mention was the email. And this is quite a wall of text, but I think we should get through it. Would you like to do the honors, sir, or should I?
I'd say go ahead, sir, since I had talked so much about my con life here.
Sure. So this is from our good friend, Agris SW, who is in the IRC right now. And we very much appreciate this email, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this one, because this is going to be memorable. This is, the subject is Epic Geek Cred / Wallow Text. Greetings, Mr. Wayne and Mr. Ken. Agris SW here again with a Geek Cred report, not the Greek Cred. We don't know anything about his Greekisms. Yesterday, Ambrosia and I attended Anime Expo, aka AX, at the LA Convention Center, and we had a blast. So many wonderful cosplayers, props, and people. Just making Wayne here jealous. As some of you may remember, Ambrosia and I were going to go in style. We donned our Full Metal Alchemist uniforms. I remember you working on them and sending in photos, yes. And we went as Roy Mustang and Riza Hawkeye. We both got noticed by about a dozen people and even got asked to be photographed a few times as well, which gave me that warm feeling I'm sure you must get a lot, Mr. Wayne. And I'm sure you do.
It's a great feeling. Well, as anybody who cosplays, there's nothing better than having people like, dude, I love your costume, can I take a picture? Especially like for me, because being Matthew Patel, it's not as popular a one, but I get the same thing, which is a lot of the characters I do. People will see it, and then one person in the group gets it, and they're like, "Oh, dude!" And someone will be like, "What?" It's like, "Dude, that's like from Scott Pilgrim, you know, Evil X1."
That's super satisfying.
They're like,
I imagine.
"Oh, yeah," and yeah. And so then when I get a photo, they're like, "Oh, snap!"
Very nice. Shortly after getting a bite to eat, we met up with two of our friends, and together we braved the main hall and began our shopping spree. As the day grew to a close, our friends needed to call it a day and return home, but not before gathering in the main lobby to snap some more pics of great cosplay. As Ambrosia was distracted by taking a picture of a great cosplay, I took that moment to strike. After taking her picture, she turned around, and much to her surprise, she found me down on one knee, holding a Full Metal Alchemist pocket watch, and inside was a ring, and with that ring came a question. She said, yes. And with that, it is now official that Ambrosia Hartnett and Agris SW are now engaged to be married. That is so sweet. Congratulations to you both. That is fantastic news. Congratulations both to Agris SW and Ambrosia Hartnett for their future life together, where you will no longer be two and you will be one. That's absolutely lovely.
I have something for that.
Objective complete.
Wow, a drop it. We've not heard those in a while. It's been months. Wow, you guys have, that is very special. Thank you so much for informing us and sending an email straight afterwards. That's so sweet. To put a little bow on the story, the pocket watch I used to carry the ring was in the very same watch that I had when we first met, and was part of the reason we got talking, became friends, lovers, and more. Thank you for reading this wall of text. Big shouts to all the staff and attendees of AX. Bigger shouts to my friends Za Warsman and Gigi, who helped me and recorded this moment. Oh, brilliant. It's recorded. Even nicer. Do give us a link. Or put it in the forums or Twitter. We'd appreciate it.
Oh, heck yes.
And the biggest shout out to my no longer loving girlfriend, but now my loving fiance, Ambrosia Hartnett. That is so sweet. That is all I have for this week. We might go back to the con again and bring back some more news next week. Salute to you, good sirs. Thank you for always taking the time to read out my emails, and see you in the IRC. Well, now. P.S. I've provided links below to the big moments and all the pics taken at the con. Oh, thank you so much, sir. We'll happily put these into the show notes. If you're okay with that, we can do so. If not, we'll just leave them for ourselves. Congratulations again, sir. That is absolutely fantastic news. And I had a little tear in my eye when I read that last
yeah,
part.
no, I'm
but
totally like, oh.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
As well as like, thank you
that's
for
fantastic.
including us in that. I mean, you've been
Yes.
a part of our fan base of the show and stuff for so long now, and we've heard so many stories of things that you
over
and
the
Ambrosia
years.
have done over the years. That in a way, this kind of culmination of things is epic.
It feels so right.
It's so
It feels
cool.
so-
And it does feel like, even though we've not met kind of thing, right? Because you've been such a great fan of the show, I do feel like it's right here for us being included, like friends type thing of
Yeah.
saying, thank you by all means for letting us know this. And I can't wait to hear
Absolutely.
more details about when it's all actually going to culminate in your ceremony and things like that. Because that's...
Absolutely.
You are awesome.
Yeah,
So-
you guys are fantastic. Well, congratulations again. Now, I want to read the very last part of that email that I haven't read yet, which I just realized that is a little bit different than normal. The signature is from Agrius SW, level 110 Human Paladin Guild, Silver Wings, Moonguard, US, the Paladin and husband-to-be of Ambrosia Hartnett.
Ah!
I know that it's not our thing, but I'd like to give a call back to all the time that Agrius SW and Ambrosia Hartnett have been part of our little community here, and I'd like to offer a slash salute.
Absolutely, a slash salute to that.
sir. Slash salute.
That is amazing. I'm super, super happy for you guys. All right. And actually, you know what I want to say is kind of like, on that note, I think it's appropriate for us to end today's show because I have to run back to convention. And I will tell you, Agrius, if you do go back there, and I can't wait to look through your photos, I have a ton of friends who are out there in LA right now at Anime Expo because that is the conflicting con with this one, and they are having a blast. So hopefully they've seen you, you've seen them. I will look through photos and tag any of them that I find in yours. But no, so many congrats to you guys. Please pass on our well wishes to Miss Ambrosia Hartnett as well. Like I said, we've really enjoyed hearing all the stories over the years. But if that's all right with all of you out there, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to end things, and I'm going to go meet people to eat food so I don't fall over and die, and then go back in so more people can see my costumes. So, if that's all right. Say, are we good, Ken? Is that good?
We are most certainly good. Sorry, I'm just
right.
slash saluting in the IRC.
I know, everyone, so it is huge. So that is super awesome. So cool. All right, everybody. With that, you've been listening to a somewhat shortened episode of Show X. As I am doing con things, as you're hearing live reports as well from others out at con. It's always great, and thank goodness for our geek community. I will tell you, like on Friday, I was running around, and there were moments where I was jumping for joy and giggling at how fun it is to be a geek. And so these are kind of highlights of my entire doing this. But with that, we will be back again next week, everyone, for a more regular show. And hopefully you guys all have a great one. Feel free to email us in. We love to hear your stories, as is obvious here. That's amazing. And then, Ken, if you'd like to lead us out.
Sure thing. I would like to highly, highly, highly recommend that everybody please participate more in our little Twitter community as well. We do have some chat always ongoing. Whenever we see funny articles, we pass it on back and forth. You can follow Mr. Wayne on twitter.com/DuckDead, twitter.com/GoHex for myself, and twitter.com/VGWShowX for the show's one as well. Follow us on Facebook because that's where we post all the funnier things as well as show links, etc. Facebook.com, search for ShowX, you'll find that easy peasy. If not, it's in the forums as well somewhere inside the ShowX board. So please do check that out. Agrius SW is saying in the IRC that he'll provide links in the forums as well. So if you want to see pictures of the big moment, go check out the forums. That if you're interested in seeing the big moment between Agrius SW and Ambrosia Hartnett. Oh. Also check out the forum.
Oh no! Internet, why you do this? It's right as we're signing off, and then the forums, or then the connection.
It's not
to
a free
Ken.
thing.
There we go. It just paused on you for a second. I was like, "What's happening?"
Oh, okay. Yeah, the show is not free, and we do this is paid for. Not because we deserve pay, but because the overlords of the servers and the overlords of the internet demand payment and tribute, and as such, we need to give them pennies. Please do send them in to patreon.com/showx if you can spare some. Sarah this asked if there's a game night. I hope there is, but I can't attend because I don't have a gaming computer. So you guys have fun.
I'll be running around because convention. I gotta get more picks. All right, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for joining us this week. Check us out next
you
week,
all.
and we'll be back. And you guys have a fun day and fun time. We'll catch you later. As I have to find the actual buttons. All right, everybody. Oh, shoot. I have all these things queued up that I didn't do. Yeah, let me just get rid of those real
Okay.
quick. All right. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Goodbye. See you in the next zombie. Good night. Also, good.